Wow. What a year, huh, folks? I mean, I'm only speaking musically, of course. I'm not getting into things like politics or anything else about the entertainment industry just overall being garbage. As Noise Critical would say, we're only here for the boner jams, baby. I stand by my decisions last year, but I realized I didn't like bouncing back and forth between albums and songs. This year, I will be talking about albums, and then I'll point out a few standout tracks therein. Another rule this year: no repeats. It's bad enough I'm talking about 5 albums from artists, but it's important to listen to more than just a few bands. It'll be alright though, don't worry. It's not like Serj Tankian's Apocalyptic Dance would have made the list anyway. It's a good song, it's just not Song of the Year for me. The order, once again, only sorta matters. Number 1 this year is genuinely my number 1 for the year though. It's probably Melodies of Atonement levels of replayability for me. This year I was focused on music that was good for driving long distances in general, tight shooter gameplay, horse betting, walking simulators, Repfest specifically, even though my computer hates getting recordings of this, horse racing, working on instruments at school, and drinking because I lost the Arima Kinnan with the fucking hot spring ticket. God damn it, I hate this game! Ah! Also, remember, if you disagree, please leave a comment below. There's a good chance that I missed a lot of great releases this year as well. So please feel free to inform me on anything I might have missed. Anyway, here's the main event. Number 5. El Dorado by Spirit World. You know, I've become one of those I'll listen to anything types of music enjoyers as an adult. Mostly due to just going to college for music. Now, as a result, I get into some pretty weird subgenres. Last year I started talking off about prog. This year I'm leaning into some death western heavy thrash metal. El Dorado was released on March 21st, 2025 by this Las Vegas group of gentlemen. One thing I really enjoy about this music is how driving it is, you know? Like, I'll listen to stuff like this when I'm running cardio down at the Y. I heard one song by them last year, Ulcer, which was released in 2022, and I was very glad they had released an album so I could have a chance to discuss this material. I don't know, man, this music just really encapsulates the word cool. It's really fun to listen to while you're trying to gap the Zancudo tunnel in GTA 5. Number 4. Doppler Affection by The Cost. Now, if you were big into music from Los Angeles from 1999 to 2003, then sit back down because I'm not talking about them. There's a different band called The Cost, and this one is a trio from Spain. But anyway, they had released Doppler Affection by some massive coincidence also on March 21st, 2025. Yeah, if you were into really obscure bands in spring, Spotify was feeding you quite well. This album features some pretty impressive percussion. The riffs supplied in tandem just really keep you engaged with the groove. It's fairly straightforward. I'm having a hard time thinking of like what this sounds like, but it does sound familiar. I'm just not very good with band names. Just a solid overall listening experience. You should go check them out. Now, this top 3 is where the real work begins, so if you could please drop a like and subscribe, that would be swell. Number 3. Demonstration of Post-Apocalyptic Warfare by Orbital Gate. It was at about this album's release that I realized I had accidentally gotten back into slam metal. I kind of stepped away from the whole death metal, like everything, back in 2022, because I just didn't have time to go to all the concerts I wanted to because of school. And also because for a while, everybody was doing the same thing. Everyone was like, oh, let's all just do blackened deathcore, because that's never been done before, right? And so, everything just sounded so similar. I'm going a little off script here. Everything just sounded so similar. It was annoying trying to find new shit to listen to for a couple years. It's probably how I got into the horrorcore shit, like Witch House 40K. It was just trying to get away from a lot of what metal was doing. But anyway, Demonstration of Post-Apocalyptic Warfare might just be my favorite concept album of all time. For a while I didn't know if anyone would top Shadow of Intense Melancholy for just being an overall masterpiece. There really just isn't a bad song with this one. Orbital Gate also does this really cool thing where they get guests from other amazing bands, namely Peeling Flesh, Black Mass, and Cephalotropsy. This was definitely contending for number 1, but I was afraid of my love for Fallout New Vegas overtaking my personal bias. Tremendous work regardless. I highly suggest giving this one a listen. Number 2.
Nuclear Slam Division
By Infectious Jelking. Now, that title's not a very pleasant one, but bear with me. Sometimes the algorithm blesses us with random acts of kindness. In late 2023, YouTube decided to recommend me a video called Infectious Jelking Roke Up in the Wrong Hood official music video. Intrigued, I was blessed with one of the best and worst things imaginable. Worst because I doubt my purest death metal gatekeepers would accept this Wigger Slam as true metal. But best because this shit kicks ass, man.
Think I'm sexy. She says she wanna sex me, but she ain't never met me. But tell her she can catch me in the back smoking.
This music definitely could only be created in the Midwest, and I love it for that. They've partnered up with DJ Smokey to create an absolutely brutal showcase of Nuclear Wigger Slam. Please don't cancel me, I am trying my hardest to pronounce that with the hard W. Releasing on November 7th, this album came out as a complete shock to me, mostly for the fact they'd released Them Young Wiggos less than a year prior. I think their work last year was a lot better, but I can also tell they were going for something different here. I mean, they make fun music, what more do you really want, right? I think a lot of metal has taken itself seriously for way too long, and between Roke Up almost getting 1 million views, and with how popular bands like Mordox, No Witnesses, and Peeling Flesh have gotten, I'm trying to sound gay about it, but I think we're finally heading in a good direction with metal as a community, you know? Now, before we get into the number 1 choice, I feel it's important to highlight some other great pieces of work. So, honorable mentions go to Don't Go in the Forest by Avatar. This was a pretty solid Halloween release, and if I would have listened to it a bit more, it probably would have replaced The Cost, but I wanted to highlight them on the list. Hyper Youth by Joey Valence and Bray. JV&B is in a weird place for me in my head. It's like if Beastie Boys didn't stop making music. It's always ironic that the fresh feeling stuff is what tries to emulate older junk. It also features a bunch of cool people like JPEG Mafia and Rebecca Black. Honorable mention because I like Punk Tactics more, but I didn't listen to them until this year, so they would have probably made the list last year. Baby No Money's self-titled album because he had already released most of those songs anyway, and it just would have felt like a cop-out putting it next to anything on this list. Body Box is 3, because I don't want this to be a top metal list, even though it kind of already is. And, well, I'm legally obligated to mention Sleep Token, otherwise my good buddy back home will probably shoot me in the face, or neck, I don't know. And Guttural Slug came out with Ulcers in the Flesh of Thought, December 5th. And I love me some Slug, but it just came out a little too late for me to truly consider it for this list. It's also interesting that, like, the 3 Slug albums that I've listened to all have a very different feel to them. I don't think we're ever going to get Megalodon Slug back, but honestly, product of its time. I don't care if that's a bad opinion, but I still love it. Anyway, let's get on to the number 1. And now, the number 1 album for 2025 goes to The Sickness 25th Anniversary Deluxe Edition by Disturbed. No, I'm just kidding. Holy shit, I'm just kidding, guys. No, number 1 this year is Black Canyon City by Mossback.
I'm sure this decision comes as an absolute shocker to some. Is this me attempting to gain relevancy in this respective field? No. Music snobs suck, and I don't want to be labeled as one of those people. This album just has some very solid vibes that happen to fit the narrative I've crafted for my life this year. There are parts of this album that truly elicit that feeling of vagabond wandering aimlessly for purpose. This type of music brought me comfort this last year. Mossback is half of the group Grim Salvo, which I believe falls under the horrorcore subgenre of hip-hop. It makes a lot of sense to me why I'd pick up on this so well. When I used to work line cook jobs, I would love listening to Tech 9. Shout out former boss Ben, who is credited and believed to be an early influence for this sort of music. The tracks on this album were varied without being completely different, and the album itself suits a multitude of different vibes. I was making the move from music education to band instrument repair, and I was extremely nervous about turning my back on the 4 years I had just spent at a public university. I know now that this was the right move. I would have been a good teacher, but not in this current timeline. Plus, I can still teach lessons and help schools as a repair technician. I mean, so long as you don't show me a string instrument. Anyway, back to the album. It's a clear example of an artist making something worth consuming. A rare instance also of the Spotify algorithm actually getting it right for once with its recommendations. This entire album is actually made available on YouTube for free, but I know that when I get disposable income again, I will be taking Mossback's discography home with me. Black Canyon City is poetry in motion. The lyrics for Horse Thief prove exactly this point. Allow me to do a dramatic reading. Finally, I can breathe. Who would think that the wind in the trees could bring a grown man to his knees? I'm truly shook. I believe in the passage of time, resolved to the peaceful notion that I'll just master what's mine. And that's enough. I can see what I'm missing, but it wouldn't be me without weakness. Took pity on me. I'm forgiven with just a look. Silently, I'll be moving. No beaten path when I move forward. The bruise is black, but I still walk. Seriously, I want to keep talking about this album, but you guys just really need to hear it for yourself. Just go, I'll link it in the description if I have to. Just go listen to this music. Seriously. Alright, and that is the top list that took me way too long to finish. The only thing I'd change is probably swapping out the cost for Sleep Token, but I believe part of the point of this little video is to bring new music to your attention as well. Plus, I also didn't listen all the way through the Sleep Token album. Yeah, the whole point of these videos is to bring new music to your attention. Hopefully I was able to do that, but just like last time, please let me know of any works that I most likely missed in 2025. Alright, I'll see you next year on Labor Day when I drop the top list for 2026. See ya!